Alright, welcome back everybody. Turn 25 of Roots, Bloody Roots. And this is gonna be a big turn, so just heads up in advance. Let's see. Just looking at trade death gems. Take a look at that. Still working on enchantment 5 for Foul Vapors, as you're well aware. Made it rain. Lost a scout. Who did we find? A scout. Now, I think that they'll be able to retreat, so that's kind of unfortunate. Um, a single anathema dragon. Okay. It's weird because I'm not seeing any force buildup from Abyssia. So the reason that this is going to be a long turn is because I'm going to want to go through, and I'm just peeking to see what Ariu is up to. I'm going to want to go through and basically see what Abyssia might have in store for me so I can think of how to make sure that I'm not destroyed by it. Let's see. I got a hero, and it's actually my best hero. This guy, he has Fire 3, Death 3. Fire Death Cross Path means that he can forge a Skull of Fire when I get up to Con 6, and that'll in turn let him make Flame Helmets. Which, I mean, Flame Helmet is a little less valuable for me because my god can make them, but regardless, this is a really nice cross path to have, especially since Fire 3, Death 3, with a death booster, which you can forge, lets me do this one later on, Contact Masau, and this guy is a hell of a super combatant. I can only make one of them, but he's got all the paths and traits to be successful in that department. So that's definitely going to be part of the plan. Meantime, as we talked about before, I need to make absolutely sure to get Foul Vapors this turn. So I've got 400 research points, and I'm going to switch to Conjuration, but I need to ramp this up to 446. So what does that mean? Well, I forged some boosters. So you can have this skull, you can have this bowl, you can have this feather. We'll give that staff to somebody, probably my god. So with all of the boosters, that easily brings me into the right territory. So now the question becomes, who can I spare? And because I'm going to want to bring troops to the front. I don't have any death gems for Satis, which is okay. Not only will I want to bring troops to the front, but I'll also want to forge some items like that cornucopia I was talking about. So let's go ahead and have this guy make a cornucopia. Now, unfortunately for me, I don't have another Nature 3 other than my god. Which is a shame because we've got some other goodies here. So let me just take you through it. Obscuro's Ring, someone already made it, but it makes lightning or air gems every turn. The Cymbeline makes forest gems every turn if you're in a forest, which I can do here at Mog. So if I have my god forge the Cymbeline, then I'm still in the window, but it's close. Alright. Can't put out another Sacred, and that'll just have to be okay. But I do also want to forge a Snake Ring, or basically something to give, Green Dragon Scale Mail. Because I'm going to have these Tribal Elders, they have no protection, they have no poison resistance. Well, I don't want them going in naked when I drop Foul Vapors. So that's part of the plan. Now, let's see here. Let's look at Abyssea's roster and see what they might have in store for me. We already know about the Lava Warriors. They're tough berserking sacreds. And our plan, it's always been Foul Vapors. I did not realize that they also had bad formation fighters, so we'll actually be on mostly even ground there. They've got some fire stuff, but I've got some fire resistance. They're swinging 2 attacks with Morning Stars. I'm swinging 2 attacks with my Dancing Things. Their Berserk is going to buff up their protection, but their defense is abysmal. And I've got a little bit of both. A little bit of attack and defense. Then Abyssian Infantry. These are worse sacreds, not only because they don't get the bless, but also because they actually have defense skill, but their attack skill is not so great, and their Morning Stars don't hit as hard, and more importantly, they only have 1 of them. Abyssian Infantry, more infantry, and these guys are just chaff I'm not worried about. If they pump out human bread, then I'm not worried about that. So, more importantly, let's look at their commander lineup. We already talked about the assassin. The assassin has 2 poison daggers, which is interesting because if you try to assassinate a sacred unit of mine, then my unit may bless itself and be immune to poison. That won't do it a lot of good because, well, it's not immune to the actual damage from the dagger. These guys will kill my Sun Priests without a doubt. My Yaya, they may kill. It's a question of, can my Yaya basically like mind burn them or something on the first turn before they get to them? Because they do have to actually close that distance. Alright, going back to see what else they've got in store for me. Beast Trainer. So this guy is to lead some animals that he can summon, which I haven't looked too closely at his summons. He's got, with these paths, he doesn't have a lot of summoning capacity, but he's got some. As we mentioned earlier, if he tries fire elementals, I'm not worried about that at all. But we'll see what else he's got. Warlord, so this guy's just a basic commander. He's basically a bigger version of the Abyssian Infantry with 2 attacks. So, he's a great commander, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing about my plans will not work on him. Warlock Apprentice, so he's going to do a lot of crossbreeding. He's probably already researched a decent amount of blood for that purpose. And I'm not as worried about his crossbreeds, because my sacreds should have an easier time against them than his actual sacreds. This guy casts 2 fire. He can throw like fireballs and stuff, which is fine. He can lead troops. He can summon fire elementals. The dragon, so I know he has at least 1 of them. This is not cap only, so I have to assume that he's been making a bunch of these. And they probably, he may have 1 Astral one, but probably not many. Fire 3. I guess it's really just a question of how far he's gone into evocation. Because none of his guys are archers, I don't think. Yeah. So, I'm not worried about him massing flaming arrows. He might have gotten indie archers for that purpose, but I don't think that I'd be playing to his strength, and my bless has fire resistance anyways. Demon Bread. So, this guy seems primarily suited for blood searching. He's got an extra path there. but he can also do the usual blood stuff. Same with the Warlock, who's better at it. The Warlocks are true masters of Abyssia. So those would probably, like, this is probably the combat mage that would scare me the most. Let's go look at blood research and see what he's got in store for me. So this is a fear effect. My dudes have high morale, so I'm not worried about that. This is just to buff up your own skills. And maybe Horror Mark himself. A healing spell. This one is a melee spell, so I'm not worried about it because he probably won't cast it. Hellfire. Alright, now we're talking. What's this going to do? Area of effect 3, 9 armor piercing damage. That's fire. So my flame resistance, I will be leaning on that heavily. Bloodlust. This gives him extreme strength. But are his dudes demons? They are not. So if they were demons, then I would be worried about that. But as it is, I think I'd be fine. He'll probably summon like some devils and stuff, and that's fine. Lesser horror. Because I mean, this would probably be a strong spell for him to summon. Don't get me wrong. But we'll see how many of those he's built. Like, that's basically a warlock's job, I guess, to summon lesser horrors, and then he's got to kind of hope that they mess with me, especially since it only has range 5. So he has to summon it pretty close to him, and then the horror is kind of neutral. Hellbind Heart. What's this do? Oh, it's a charm effect. But magic resistance negates, and again, I've got pretty strong magic resistance. Summon Ill-Earth, Earth Elemental. I mean, he could just summon Earth Elementals directly, as opposed to going to the Blood Paths. Bloodletting. This guy... So it does 1 armor negating life drain damage to everybody on the battlefield, including his own dudes, interestingly enough. I mean, 1 damage, I can tank 1 damage. I guess if he's spamming that, I would expect him to kill his own dudes at the same rate, but we'll see. Big Daddy Horrors, so that's definitely scary, although it has the same weakness as normal horrors. He might do that in a battle that he feels he's already losing. And Harm. So this causes chest wounds to a whole bunch of dudes. Basically giving them heart attacks. This is a tough spell. I mean, if he can cast a lot of harm, then that could be effective in battle. And I'm going to kind of stop there because I don't think that he's made it past Blood 6. Yeah. Just because his scales are so bad that he would have had to be focusing exclusively on blood to make it up that high, I feel. Evocation, just to make sure I didn't miss anything there. So, Fireball. There is this Flaming Meteor added with Dominions Enhanced. It's basically a poor man's gift from the sky. So, it does a crap ton of damage to area of effect 1, precision -3. It will kill either his dudes or my dudes if it hits. And then do some fatigue damage that neither of us should care about. So, yeah, no, I mean, that would be a good spell for him to spam if he's gone the evocation route. Honestly, I'd be happier if he did, because that meant that he did not go down the blood route. Magma Burst, we're not in caves. Fire Cloud, I'm not worried about that. Falling Fires, so this is a great spell. 20 armor piercing damage, even with my fire resist. The fact this magic means that it can do a good amount of hurt on me if he pulls that one out. Same with Hail of Fire. Although he would need to Communion up or something to actually get Hail of Fire off. And it's got 50 fatigue cost, so he won't be doing a ton of that. Honestly, I could actually... Well, I wouldn't be able to use that on him. Alteration. So he can do... Incinerate. Incinerate is very effective. You might just have a dude that's spamming Incinerate until he goes to sleep. Body of Flames. This is like Body Ethereal, but in fire with an additional fire shield. So it's pretty good. It's at Alteration 5, so he would have had to focus decently hard on it. And finally, Conjuration. So it becomes a question of what did he prioritize. Now, he has to know that Mind Burn will be part of my arsenal. And he's probably thinking Foul Vapors as well. I mean, that's the thing that immediately came to my mind, so I have to assume that it's what came to his as well. Let's keep having these guys sneak around here. Right. Really, I just want to see any type of build-up to let me know that I'm not crazy. I have to reach out to Eryu and make sure that Eryu is actually ready to pull their weight in this war. Let's go ahead and patrol. Make sure that there's not any more nasty scouts over here. Gonna give all of my troops to one of these guys because they're just gonna be in a wide double line formation. Really, the goal is to hold them and wait until my I can give them this just for some survivability until the morale armor comes up, but just to hold until Foul Vapors burns everybody. Everybody else can go with my prophet Leslie, and yeah, let's go ahead and leave these guys off for now. Going to focus on Sacreds. These will be back here just in case someone gets through or he summons some imps. So they're going to hold an attack closest. And these guys are going to hold an attack. What can you do? Do I have any ranged? I can give him this Thunderbow. And I might as well, because otherwise he's just going to sit there being useless. So he's just going to fire, and that'll be fine. I just don't want him to actually engage. Alright, and now let's look at mages. I told you this would be a long turn. So Leslie is going to Divine Blessing. Because we're waiting for people to come to us, I could enlarge. That would give my dude some more HP at the cost of well, I wouldn't fit as many to a square. I can't actually cast Healing Refrain, even though it looks like I can. Primal Resilience, that doesn't affect my troops because they're not animals. Same with Savage Strength. Cat's Fortune, that's again for animals. I already have Poison Resist from the Bless, so I'm less worried about that. Regen. Regen would be a good spell for me to cast. But I don't want to accidentally run out of gems, So let's go ahead and just give this guy a couple gems. And the rest of the gems I'll keep with this guy. Just because I'm going to want to have some gems, but I don't want to accidentally use them. Alright. Let's put you back here. You're going to be a Communion Master. And then, what are you going to cast after that? Well, you're going to be one of the ones who cast Foul Vapors. But until then, if you want to... now, Curse only affects one dude. Anti-magic, that might be a good thing to think about. Yeah. That'll become Foul Vapors, but I'll put anti-magic on there for now. And then, well, actually, let's do Personal Luck. Because he's in the Communion, that'll actually Personal Luck him and all of the slaves, which would be nice just because I don't want to get my slaves killed. I guess that much goes without saying. Anyway, Anti-Magic, and then Mind Burn. And who else we got? Alright, you will be a Communion Slave. And send you to the back to be a slave. And you to the back to be a slave. And you to the back to be a slave. There's a question of how many slaves I'm going to want to have. Because I don't need to overdo it with the slaves. I want to make sure that they don't get fatigued out and die, but that's the extent of it. Actually, that's something that I can do. Rather than Personal Luck on you, I can do Personal Regeneration. That'll give all the slaves regen. And in practice, well, this guy will be... he'll do the regen because he has a little less magic. Because the other guy is the one who's actually going to be casting the... going to be casting Foul Vapors when I research next turn. So, you'll get regen, and then you will spam out Mind Burn. Make sure you're in the back. My god is not actually going to be involved in this conflict. I've got some other plans for her. How many slaves do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That feels like a good number. So you can cast Master and create flaming missiles is basically a small flaming arrows that you can cast at Construction 1 with Dominions Enhanced, which is pretty cool, but does not matter to me. Skill of Heroes, that is something that would ordinarily be something that I consider because I can buff up the attack skill of a lot of my dudes with Skill of Heroes, but it doesn't help me in this battle because the Abyssians aren't known for their defense, they're known for their protection. Unforging. This could actually be a powerful spell for me to cast. So let's go ahead and Luck and then Unforge. And that should make it easier to just punch through the Abyssian armor. So I'm not actually doing that much Mind Burn. Okay, so yeah, I was going to get rid of the regen. As you saw, I still have a guy casting Luck. Alright, let's actually intersperse these guys here, just because what I'm really worried about is them flying to the back and causing me problems that way. Unfortunately, I can't split these guys because you can only lead 2 squads, and morale is going to be important depending on which spells he decides to cast, such as that Blood Fear spell. So we've got a plan for, that should be personal regen, because this is for the communion slaves. Just in case I send you back into battle, let's not have you trying Barkskin, because that will have the opposite of the intended effect against Abyssia. Tangle Vines is a good spell. Okay, so I think we've got these guys all planned out. Keep patrolling. You can wait. I guess this guy will be bringing nature gems, but he doesn't need them now. I'll just need to make sure to load him up later, because if he patrols, then he might find an assassin this turn, and I don't want the assassin to get the better of him and kill his nature gems. I'm going to need those. Let's go ahead and set conservative magic gem usage. I'm going to need that for other guys too, but that can wait. He's got 13. I do not have the death gems to make a revenant. I'm going to alchemize those because I want a revenant pretty badly, so that the revenant can go site searching with the old crew, because I still need to do that while he gets into battle, because he auto howls, and that'll just mess with things. Howl just messes with things, and that's what I want to do there. Alright. Let's see. Last turn I scripted everybody for turbo research, or including all my recruitment. This turn, let's go back to Yaya's, and I'm going to get a lot of clowns. Why am I getting a lot of clowns? Well, I'm going to need the clowns to patrol out any ne'er-do-wells. So I figured that I'll just bite the bullet this turn and make a lot of clowns, and then I'll have them. Next turn, with Enchantment 5, in addition to getting Foul Vapors online like I've been talking about this whole time, that'll also give me Mana from the Heavens. And I definitely want to cast Mana from the Heavens, because that'll mean that all of my places with growth, well, all of my places with priests, which is everywhere that I have recruited a wizard, all of those places are going to get growth, and that's going to help undo my death scale that I'm still riding on. Alright, research. Still got 10 points to spare, which is not a great margin, but it's good enough. And everyone who's not researching has something important to do. I don't want to have my army fight him unblessed. So actually, let's leave half of the patrollers off for now. They'll come back on when we actually fight, but I don't want to get them killed if he actually attacks me this turn, which I don't see where he could, because all he's got is this anathemate dragon. But if he's got something stealthy and scary, then I don't want to be taken off guard by that. This guy's still moving around. He's waiting for me to have enough money. Speaking of which, mercenaries. The Master Assassin. Go ahead and grab this Master Assassin. At the very least, it'd be nice to give Abyssia the taste of their own medicine. He's waiting for money to build a palisade. Yeah, you can just wait there. I want to see reinforcements coming up from Abyssia, and it would be faster for them to go through here. Which one is Abyssia itself? There it is. Oh, so actually it doesn't matter. So actually he'll probably send them here just because that way they can get to either one of us. This guy can wait for now. This guy can wait for now. Chen Shi is being besieged by Naba. Okay. That's interesting. Also, this is kind of funny how the train... It looks like there's a break in the water, but there's not. So, is Naba fighting both Chen Shi and Jotunheim? Well, the only way that I can actually get over this river is through here, unless I go all the way over here. And I do want to see more of Chen Shi. Here's Satis. So I do want to get a better picture of how big Satis is. Satis has... Okay, those are just regular fortresses. Alright, make sure I've got my PD up. Alright, so I've only got 2 PD here. And 2 PD in the ocean. Ariu is still besieging Sawaiki. It looks like they wiped out... Satis wiped out this Sawaiki province over there. Pelagia's made it all the way back around. That's kind of scary. So Pelagia's enormous. I mean, part of it is out of scale because of water, but still, Pelagia is enormous. I was hoping that by having this province, I could sneak my way into Utterdeep at some point, but Pelagia is on to me. Okay, so that's the turn. Just barely gonna get foul vapors, and that's okay. And then I'm gonna ramp up construction. If I can get... Well, unfortunately my god cannot summon eagles, which is a shame because eagles are great for besieging. But eventually I'll get these Katsunas, which are great thugs. I'll get these Yayaponsa, which can do light super combatant duty later. They've got the fire so they can Phoenix Pride themselves, which is the most important thing. And these guys, these are great for sieges. So that's obviously a ways off. That's at Conjuration 6, and I'm probably going to take a break at some point to go pick up Construction 6 so I can make fire magic boosters. But that's the long-term plan. Short-term, gotta fight Abyssia. And after next turn, I'll consolidate a bunch more of my Sun Priests on Solam here because I'm going to want a bigger communion. Like, this communion is not intimidating anybody. So that'll be the plan. It's exciting. It's going to be great. It's going to be full of action. It's what you've all been waiting for. I'll see you all on turn 25.